Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Savannah Chrisley offers a glimpse of her home garden where she grows her own fruit. The Chrisley Knows Best star, 27, shared a post to her Instagram stories on Thursday, October 3, that featured a snap of her backyard garden and revealed that she's been growing pears. "Nothing like growing your own fruit," she captioned the simple post, which featured a photo of her pears growing on what appears to be an espalier branch on the side of her painted brick house. The former reality TV star is often candid about her home life on social media and on her podcast, sharing posts to her Instagram about her house, finances, and younger siblings, Chloe Chrisley, 11, and Grayson Chrisley, 17, both of whom she is the legal guardian of. Reading a letter she wrote to the judge in her mother Julie Chrisley's recent sentencing during the October 1 episode of her podcast, Unlocked with Savannah Chrisley, she revealed that Chloe has been struggling to adjust to life away from the group's parents. Chloe, who has already experienced the pain of abandonment by her biological parents, now faces that same heartbreak again with the absence of my parents, her true parents, Savannah wrote. She asked me, "Do you think Mom will be home to teach me to drive? Or will Mom be here for my first high school dance? My mother has missed so many of the moments that define a family: Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Chloe entering middle school and starting cheerleading, Grayson's last baseball season, senior year, prom, and now the college admissions process. All moments when children need their parents most," she continued. Chrisley's father, Todd, 55, was sentenced to 12 years in prison and 16 months probation, and Julie, 51, was sentenced to 7 years in prison and 16 months probation in November 2022, after the couple were found guilty of bank fraud and tax evasion in June that year. The next month, they began the appeal process before reporting to their respective prisons in January 2023. More than a year later, in an April 2024 appeal hearing, a judge granted Julie's appeal and vacated her 7-year sentence in June due to insufficient evidence. However, Todd's sentence was upheld. On Wednesday, September 25, Julie, 51, was resentenced to the same 84-month-long prison sentence she previously received. During the hearing at the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia in downtown Atlanta, Julie stood before Judge Eleanor L. Ross and apologized for her actions in the hopes of receiving a reduced sentence. Savannah and her brother Chase Chrisley were in attendance. Savannah has been vocal about her parents' case since her mother's resentencing. She called the judge's 84-month sentence an injustice and revealed at the time that her family would be pursuing another appeal. "What has happened is an injustice," she said in a video taken outside the courthouse by Entertainment Tonight. "I will continue to fight for my parents, and I will be as loud as I can possibly be because the judge clearly showed today that she was using my outspokenness to change a system that is so broken." Savannah Chrisley, best known for her time in the spotlight as the daughter of reality TV star Todd Chrisley, has found solace and satisfaction in a place far removed from the glitz and glamour of television, her home garden. Amid the hustle of public life and the whirlwind of family drama, Savannah has cultivated a space that is quiet, peaceful, and uniquely hers. It's a world filled with green tendrils, vibrant blooms, and perhaps most surprisingly, rows upon rows of fruit-bearing trees and plants that she nurtures herself. And it is here, among the leaves and vines, that Savannah has found a new sense of purpose. The entrance to Savannah's garden is understated, an old, weathered wooden gate with ivy creeping along its edges. The first hint of what lies behind it is the intoxicating scent of blossoms carried by the wind. As the gate creaks open, the full splendor of her little Eden is revealed. Neatly arranged rows of trees heavy with ripe fruit stand like sentinels, their branches bowing under the weight of their bounty. Apples, oranges, lemons, and even the delicate blush of peaches peek through the leaves, glistening in the soft morning sunlight. "This has become my escape," Savannah says, her voice quiet and thoughtful. "It's funny how something as simple as growing fruit can ground you, can remind you of what really matters." She walks down a stone path that winds through the garden, stopping to check on the small plants that line the edges of her orchard. Strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries are all thriving here, their jewel-like colors standing out against the green backdrop. The garden is as diverse as it is beautiful, a reflection of Savannah's own journey to discover what brings her joy and peace. Savannah's love for her garden began as something of a surprise even to her. "I wasn't much of a gardener growing up," she admits with a laugh. "My family was more into being in the spotlight than in the dirt, you know." But after the tumultuous events that have shaped her recent years, her parents' legal battles, the constant scrutiny of her personal life, Savannah found herself yearning for something different. Something real, something that wasn't dependent on ratings or public opinion. Her connection to the earth began with a single tree, a lemon tree gifted to her by a friend after a particularly tough year. "It was kind of symbolic, I guess," she explains. "When life gives you lemons, right?" She chuckles, but there's a depth to her words that suggests a long journey of introspection. That tree became the cornerstone of her garden, and before long, she found herself planting more: apples, oranges, even a fig tree. "I didn't know what I was doing at first, but I learned. I read books, watched videos, asked for advice, and it became something I really cared about. Caring for the garden hasn't always been easy. It's a lot of work," Savannah confesses as she kneels beside a raised bed of strawberry plants. She picks a ripe berry and turns it over in her hands, inspecting it with the careful eye of someone who's learned to appreciate the finer details. There's watering, pruning, keeping pests away. But it's rewarding. Every time I pick a piece of fruit, I know exactly where it came from, how it was grown. It's different from just buying it at the store. Savannah's garden is more than just a source of fresh fruit, it's a personal refuge. The garden's design reflects her love of simplicity and nature. Wooden trellises covered in grapevines form archways over small sitting areas, where she can retreat with a book or a cup of coffee. Wild flowers are scattered throughout, adding splashes of color among the greenery. Birds chirp from the trees, and the sound of water trickling from a small fountain provides a soothing soundtrack to the garden's tranquil beauty. But perhaps the most striking aspect of Savannah's garden is the way it mirrors her own growth. Just as the trees have taken root and flourished, so has she. "There's something really beautiful about watching something grow from nothing," she muses. "It takes time, and sometimes things don't go the way you want them to. But if you're patient, if you care for it, it will thrive." Savannah's newfound passion for gardening has also brought her closer to her family in unexpected ways. "My dad loves the garden," she says, smiling. "He's always asking about the fruit, especially the peaches. I think it surprises him that I've taken to it like this, but he's proud." Her siblings, too, have found joy in her garden. Grayson loves picking the apples, and Chloe is all about the strawberries. It's become something we can all share, something that brings us together. As she moves through the garden, Savannah pauses to pluck an orange from a nearby tree. She peels it slowly, the citrus scent filling the air as she talks about what's next for her little oasis. "I want to expand," she says, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "I'm thinking about adding some more exotic fruits, maybe figs or pomegranates, and I'd love to start growing my own herbs: basil, rosemary, thyme. There's so much I can do here." For Savannah Chrisley, the garden has become a metaphor for life itself. It's a place where things grow, where patience and care lead to something sweet and nourishing. It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there is always the potential for something beautiful to bloom. As she stands in the dappled sunlight, a basket of freshly picked fruit in her hands, Savannah looks content, at peace with the world and herself. "This is where I'm happiest," she says softly, almost to herself. "Here in the garden, surrounded by the things I've grown. It feels real, it feels right." And in that moment, it's clear that Savannah has found something precious, something that can't be taken away by fame or fortune, a piece of paradise she's created with her own hands.